from Microbe TV. This is Office Hours for Wednesday, December 4, 2024. I'm Vincent Racaniello, and welcome to your viral corner of the internet, where we can talk all about viruses and other things too. Tell us where you're from. We'll shout you out while I'm thanking our moderators for being here tonight. We have Les from California. We have Steph from San Francisco. We have Vanity Nutrition from New York. And we have Tom Steinberg from Oregon. Thank you for moderating tonight. Hopefully it will be calm for you. We have some things in store for you this evening. I have a gift I want to show you from Mark Martin. So you can imagine what it is. I want to talk about the healthcare science nominees that are problematic and why. And then if we have time, we'll do a mini lecture. So let's see where folks are from. I'm cold. I'm in the basement of my home, and it's cold. It's below, it's like -3 or -4 Celsius outside. It's very cold, and it's 70 degrees in this house. I don't know why it's a problem, but so I'm wearing this thing. I don't know, this jacket. It's supposed to be an outer jacket, but if I wore this outside, I'd die. This is so thin. So this is appropriate for in the house. What do you call this? You used to call them, they're not down. There's no down in here, but it's puffy, right? It's puffy. Okay, let's see where everyone's from and how their weather is. Krishnan is from Malaysia, where I bet it's really hot. I'd like to be in a hot place right now where I could sit outside and just bask in the heat. I don't like this cold weather anymore. I really don't. And it's just starting. It's just the beginning of December. I have a couple of months of this to put up with. Jan is from Tucson, Arizona, which is 21C. That's very civilized. Will is in China, where it's 8C, and the central heating is going on. Visto Tutti is from Riverland, South Australia, 36C. Wow, that's very warm. That's very warm. Tom is one of our moderators, of course, in Oregon. Influenza A circulating in Oregon. I'm vaccinated. I prefer to tilt good outcome odds in my favor. Well, that's a great way of looking at it. I don't understand these vaccine skeptics who say the benefits do not outweigh the risks. They're just saying this to be contrary, either for a political reason or that they want to sell you something. They all want to sell you something. I don't want to sell you anything. The only thing I want to give you is knowledge. All right? No snake oil here. Angela O'Kelly is in Ireland, where the weather is always good for something. Okay, I'm betting it's chilly there right now. Maureen is in the snow belt of northeast Ohio, 40-plus inches of snow. Wow. I don't want snow. Last winter, we didn't get much snow at all, which is good. It makes commuting difficult. Dagfinn is in Oslo, Norway, -6. Slight snowfall, 2 a.m. in the morning. Thank you for staying up to listen to this. You could sleep and hear it in the morning recorded, but I appreciate that. Abdul Aziz is from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, where it's 16 degrees Celsius. That's not bad. Wayne is from Urbana, Illinois, 39F4C. And Costello, who's in Ohio, I know this. He says it's cold or something outside. I don't know. John, -12C. Whoa. Even colder than here in Minneapolis. Good night to make a kimchi stew. Very nice. Sounds good. Pete is in the UK. Back from spending November in Australia. Wow. That's quite a trip. Welcome back. Cheryl is in southern Ontario, where there is light snow, minus 1 degrees Celsius. A few of you are pointing out this op-ed by a sociologist, Zeynep Tufekci, on H5N1. Yeah, it's full of mistakes, and I'm sure all of you, if you've listened to TWIV for a while, can point them out. I don't know what the problem is. What the hell? Can't the Times fact check? Ay, ay, ay. I don't get it. And, the thing is, if people read this, they see it's in the New York Times, they think it's gospel. It's an opinion, first of all. And, the stupid lab origin opinion of months ago. Just nonsense. It's more of the same. The thing is, I could make a video rebutting it, but way more people will have read it than watched my video. I'm not yet as penetrant as I should be. Penetrant is a genetic term. A phenotype has penetrance, depending on how it comes through, if you will. Kang is in Chicago, 1C. Rima is in Iowa. And Lulu is her cat. Welcome. Truth or Dare is in La Jolla, where it must be nice. Jeez is in South Korea. Why was martial law declared? 3.5C. Well, here in New York City, there was an assassination on Fifth Avenue, right outside the Hilton, where I've stayed many times. It's a very nice neighborhood. This guy came up to the CEO of United Healthcare and shot him dead, and then got on his bike and drove off. Can you believe it? There's still people who kill for hire. Oh my gosh. Okay, Julie S. is from windy Pennsylvania. MK is from eastern Massachusetts, 2 degrees C. Nicola is in Italy, 6 degrees C and cloudy. Jefferson Space is in Miami, mostly cloudy, 69 F21C. Not bad. I'd take that over minus 4C. Carol is from Bakersfield, where it's 60. I presume that's Fahrenheit. Tracy is in Sonoma County, California. Welcome. David is in Dayton, Ohio. Mark Martin in Tacoma, Washington, where it's 41 degrees C. That's a bit mild. It's nippy. It's got a chill. Yeah, I got it. H Zoo is in Austin, Texas. Good to see you. Nice to see you again. You used to come all the time, and then last time you showed up, so I'm very happy to see you. 59C and raining. Yeah, I'm trying to stay warm. So going outside, well, what can you do? Fortunately, I minimize my wait for the train, right? And then the walk from the train station to the incubator is like a minute. I'm very lucky. And Manhattan is a bit warmer, so a lot of people around, so they keep you warm. Thank you. Bernard Wandel is in Washington, D.C. and freezing. Not surprising. Yep. Artemis is in Montreal, minus 2C. First snowfall of the season. It's a puffer jacket. Yeah, it's a puffer jacket. But it's not very puffy, I'm getting warm, so soon I may take it off. Patagonia, right? Yeah. Patagonia. The nice thing about these, you could squish them up and get them really small to pack them, right? So if you're going somewhere and you don't know how the weather's going to be, you might want to take it, right? Carol sent her letter to oppose RFK for HHS secretary. I hope many of you did that who are able to, because this is, in my opinion, the worst of all the nominees, the most dangerous. We'll talk about that in a bit. Brian Silverman is in Montreal, minus 1, a little snowy. Albert is in Tennessee, where there are icicles today. W315 Bird is from Southern Virginia, where it's 4 degrees Celsius. Tracy grew up in New Jersey, but misses snow. I grew up in New Jersey. If in fact I did grow up, but I was born here. Spent many years here, um, but lived other places for college and graduate school and the first years at Columbia. But I didn't mind snow for many years. Now it bugs me. So not sure California's for me, but I wouldn't miss snow. Nope. Eliza B is in southern Ontario, 0 degree in snow. I love winter. You're probably younger than me. I used to love winter when I was young. Abdur Rahman is in Brooklyn, is 4 degrees centigrade Celsius. David is 8C in Dayton. Ari Ozone is in Asheville, feels like 28F. Hans is in sunny Guayaquil, Ecuador, 29C. That's where I ought to be. I could go sit on the terrace with my laptop. Hello, Jill. 32F0C in Wilmington, Delaware. Wilmington sticks out in my mind because when I passed through Wilmington on the Amtrak, there's that building with the big painting of a whale on the side. I always thought that was so cool. I love that. Hat is in LA where it's 16 Celsius. Peter, 36F in Boston. Lise is in Columbus, Ohio, 38F. Schools closed due to severe wind chill. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Rob, thank you for your support of science communication, vitality, and incubator. Really appreciate it. By the way, November and December are our fundraising months. In fact, yesterday was Giving Tuesday. What did we do? We released a bunch of videos on YouTube and Instagram. We couldn't figure out how to get into our Facebook account, so we couldn't do anything there. But these are videos asking for your help. For some of them are talking about the nominees that are problematic, and others are testimonials from you. A number of you sent recordings in, and we have videos of them that are going to be coming out over the next few days. And so thanks very much, many people who are here tonight. And if you sent audio, we made a nice video out of it where what you're saying is transcribed and highlighted as you're saying it. There's a school program that does that. I was using it all day yesterday and the day before to make these videos. Very cool. Elizabeth, Mississauga, -1C in snowing. I like the little snowflake there. That's very nice. Thank you, Questella, for your support of science communication. Logotic, -1 in the very windy city. Hank, my pet hates cold and snow. I despise winter. Gerringong is 26C now and almost perfect. That's very nice. That's very nice. Quistella says, I haven't gotten any news since the last time you gave me news. Okay, I just want to make sure it's accurate, you know. By the way, there is you're not going to be able to see, but there's a fireplace behind me, right? It's gas driven. I had it on just before showtime and I turned it off because it's a bit noisy. Otherwise, that makes it nice and toasty in here. But I'm afraid if I keep running it, the CO levels will rise, and I don't know. Maybe I'll pass out. Nebby is in Central Florida, 68F. Jazz is in Lyndhurst, Ohio. Silent Runner, Wichita, Kansas. Shirt sleeves. Oh my gosh, 59F. Zeynep Tufeki is a piece of work. Yeah. Everybody has an opinion and they shouldn't have it because it's not based on correctness, right? Cheryl is in Santa Rosa. Sunny and over 60 today. David, my bioluminescent GMO petunia is enjoying 4870F in SoCal. Wow. Bioluminescent. Mark Martin would like those. Mike, Seattle, 5C. Midge is in Australia. Will writes, lab origin, just saw another load of bollocks from Redfield. Yeah, Redfield is just full of it. He said, yeah, it came from a lab. These people are all ignoring natural origin data. That's it. They have an agenda. It's disgusting. Aldo is in Peru. Welcome. Must be warm there. So the president tried a coup. He wanted to be a dictator in South Korea. Oh, my God. I'm so sorry. Doreen is in Chicago, where we know the weather from Kang already. Questella, thank you for your support of science communication. Brian is in Sydney, gets to 30 today. Tona is out in Long Island, cold weather like here. ABZ minus 20 in western Manitoba. Chilly, chilly, chilly. Wow. And Mr. Doreen is in Elgin. Finally got above zero today. Rima is in Iowa. Bad wind and freezing. Helen is in Pittsburgh, where it's 5C and alternating rain and snow. Yeah, these are days when Steph does not miss the East Coast. The weather is just painful. Dagfin tried sending a letter. It wouldn't let, yeah. Anyone know if I can contact anyone? You can just get the email addresses. They are available online. And you can send your opinion in as a resident of another country. All the senators have emails published, yeah. John, is PWB doing the matching contributions? Yes, November, December, January. But you have to go over to PWB and give them there. So, they will only match up to so much. Okay? So, I don't know. We'll see how we're doing, but it's a bit of a problem, right? Okay? I want to nominate Paul Offit as head of HHS. Yeah, he would be great. HHS, FDA, CDC. This is a person, a trained, knowledgeable, talented person with a lot of experience in the field. Exactly the kind of person you need for this position. Hello, Brenda. First time here. It's cold in South Carolina. Steve, thank you for your contribution. Sent the letters to senators and getting everyone I know to write as well. Thank you. I think that's great. Greg is in Seattle, 34C. Jill used to work right next to that building with the whale painting in Wilmington. The artist is the great Robert Weiland. I always wondered who did that. It's a very inspiring painting. I would, pull into the station, look at it. I really liked it. Yep. Spamlet is in cold Bedfordshire, England. Quote me live again. I'm here live. Daisy, it got to freezing down here in Alabama. I'm already sick of cold weather. My electric lack pattern. If you pass out, we'll call 911 for you. Okay. Tell them to come in the basement. Heather is in London. Weather is indifferent and wet. Marge is in Richmond, where it's 3 degrees Celsius. Does the PWB match limit get reached? Yeah, so they will match for up to $20,000, $20,000, and no more. But so if donations total 10,000, they will match, and then they give us 20. The problem is that if donations go over 10, we don't get them. Okay. So at some point, I would prefer that you donate. Once their goal is reached, I'd prefer that you donate a Microwave TV. Would it make a difference if people sent a letter opposing RFK? I don't know. I think that the more emails that come into the office, the assistants or whatever you call them, the clerks, are going to read them. If they get thousands of emails from all over the world, I think that would make a difference. Yeah. Yep. What's parasiteswithoutborders.com. Okay. All right, so I have a gift from Mark Martin. Oh, this is so cool. I got to tell you. It's beautiful. It's a phage that, it's a disco phage. Maybe I should turn the light off so you can see it. I maybe have to brighten it. Hold on now to see he has a little thing here that you control the brightness and the different colors that it makes. So here, like orangey thing. And let's try that's kind of a rainbow color thing there. And what else we got? Blue, orange. That's another one. That's another one. That's another one. Orange. Yeah, a lot of orange here. That's another one. That's pretty neat. I like that. Anyway, there's the head and the tail fibers. But so the head and the tail are lighting up. Tail fibers are not. And I can control this remotely with this cool thing. So this is 3D printed. Thank you, Mark, so much. It's just fabulous. I love it. See, this thing supposedly makes it brighter, but I'm not sure that does anything. But the buttons that, and I can turn it off, of course, here. And I can turn it back on and make a cool pattern. So here you go. You see, we should put it on the fireplace behind me. Put it on my head. Right? It's lovely. I just love this kind of thing. I have to put it somewhere where you can see it. Yep. And I'll burn all the batteries out. Could I do it right here? No, that's the wrong side. This is the side it needs to go on. It would be distracting, but maybe not all the way in the back, right? All right, let me see if I can do it. I can always turn it off remotely, right? You can't really tell it's a phage. It's just a flashing light, right? Now, there's no way to know what it is. No, but it's okay. Thank you, Mark. Really appreciate it. You know that there are settings for voice and sound activated. I see little ones with a music symbol next to it. I guess that's what that is. Yeah. The fireplace color. So Tracy likes the color. It's just a light splashing over it, right? I mean, it's an oak, fireplace wood with brick under it, but it's got some light splashing. And actually, on this side is a icosahedron with a light shining on it. But, it's in the background blurred because of the depth of field effect. So you really can't see anything because the idea is to look at me. If you wanted it, sharp in the background, then you wouldn't pay attention to me. So I put things on it to make a little bit of mystery, right? Look at this, that blinking. That's so cool. Mark had made me another one. This is like first generation. This one just lights up on and off. I don't know if the batteries. Yeah, the batteries are still good. It goes blinking and then steady, right? This is so cool. Also, now that's second generation, I guess, and it works really well. Thanks, Mark. And by the way, look, Tona says, Mark, I love your show and your gregarious manner. So there you go, Mark. All of us need praise. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about this disaster that is the health and science nominees. I mean, what the hell? What the hell? Let's get this slideshow here going, and we'll do the screen share. There you go. Let's turn the camera on so you can see tiny me up in the corner there. I call this problematic science healthcare nominees. So it's an understatement, right? So here they are. There's RFK Jr., there's the head of Health and Human Services. We talked about him last time quite a bit. There's a video on YouTube. I mean, he's done everything evil in the arena of vaccines and doesn't admit his wrong. And in Somalia, was responsible for a measles outbreak. But now we had, in the subsequent time since the last office hours, head of NIH, Jay Bhattacharya. We'll go over each of these individuals. CDC, David Weldon. FDA, Martin Makary, or it should be Mockery. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, Dr. Oz. And the Surgeon General, Jeanette Neshiwat. So this, in my opinion, the worst is RFK Jr. The others are bad, but if we can only get one not confirmed, it would be RFK Jr., I think. So Bhattacharya is a Stanford professor. He's a health economist. Now, all of these guys get prominent during COVID when they have contrary views that are not based on science. You may remember the Great Barrington Declaration, which was released early in the pandemic, saying, this is a mostly mild disease. You don't need lockdowns. You don't need closures. We're going to get herd immunity and everybody will be protected. There's no need for people to stay home. This is just a contrary view because at the time there were no data saying anything about the nature of the illness. Of course, now we know it's dumb to let the illness, the infection, proceed unchecked. Why? Because even kids get sick and die and they get long COVID, and anyone else. It can be mild in many people, but they can still get long COVID. And they weren't thinking about that because you don't know everything at the beginning of a pandemic. You have to be cautious. He just wanted to be contrary. The authors of that Great Barrington Declaration just wanted to be contrary for political reasons. But the biggest reason that this guy cannot be head of NIH is he thinks SARS-CoV-2 came from a lab in Wuhan, China. The head of NIH cannot think SARS-CoV-2 came from a lab. There's no evidence. Even the bloody FBI in the U.S. said there's no evidence saying they made anything there that became SARS-CoV-2. And there's plenty of evidence showing that it originated in the market in Wuhan, the Huanan seafood market. So he's ignoring the science. So how can the head of NIH ignore the science? That's my point here. Oh my gosh. But I don't think we can RFK and Bhattacharya. What is he going to do to NIH? Well, RFK wants to fire 600 people on January 20th, and they want to cut it back. Every institution needs fixing. Well, the current administration, the Republican view is that government is too big. We have to cut it back. Trump wants to get all these things out of. Sorry, I screwed it up. All these things out of Washington, D.C. Okay. You know what? 50 million people didn't vote for him. So I know that's the way the politics work in the U.S. Anyway, these are the problems with Bhattacharya. I mean, the COVID origin is ridiculous. What are you thinking? Even Redford still says it comes from a lab. This is all political because you can't be ignoring all that data. David Weldon, head of CDC. Who is David Weldon? He's an internal medicine physician practicing in Florida. He used to be in Congress. Has no expertise in science or epidemiology, which are the core components of CDC. He's just a guy who became prominent for criticizing vaccines. When he was in Congress, he claimed that thimerosal in vaccines causes autism. I mean, how out of the party can you be when dozens of studies have shown that it does not cause autism? There are other causes of autism. Why are you pushing this? Because it's a political agenda that you have. He's often on Fox News. He's vaccine skeptic. What does that mean? He doesn't think the benefits always outweigh the risk. Or really, tell me one where the benefits don't outweigh the risk. You can't. You cannot. Even the mRNA vaccines, which can cause myocarditis in a small fraction of young people, first of all, that you recover from that. And the myocarditis from natural infection is much greater. So don't be stupid. Don't be vaccine skeptic. He also questions the value of the human papillomavirus vaccine. This is a great vaccine. It prevents cancer in thousands of women and men in the U.S. It's an amazing vaccine. There's nothing wrong with it. He just doesn't like it, and he knows it's a political point. Because a lot of people don't like it. They don't want to give their kids the vaccine. They think they'll become promiscuous. Some stupid thought like that. And the last thing, he thinks the CDC should not be involved in vaccine safety monitoring. He thinks they have a conflict of interest. That's stupid. They don't make the vaccine. I could see, Pfizer would have a conflict of interest in doing vaccine safety monitoring. But this means after the vaccine is licensed, you continue to collect safety data. The CDC does that. What's the conflict of interest, David? If you think about it, it doesn't make any sense to say that. So I think this is not a good candidate. But as I said, we can't get rid of all these people. I just want you to know why they are not good. It seems that he wants to just appoint people that are going to break everything, people that have contrary views. He thinks that's good. Right? And Fox News is a plus to have on your CV. Martin Macri, he's a surgeon from Johns Hopkins. Right, so this guy's supposed to be the head of the FDA. FDA regulates a lot of products, not just vaccines and drugs, but foods, tobacco products, lots of other things. Again, he became prominent during COVID. He argued against lockdowns. He argued against masks for children. What data did you have, Macri, to say that kids would be okay? Because they're not. They can die. Even if it's 1,000 or 1,200 kids who have died, those are someone's kids. You do your best to prevent that. He said natural immunity to SARS-CoV-2 would limit the pandemic. He is also an anti-abortion extremist, all right? And, the FDA has approved chemical abortions, and he could turn that around, making it difficult for a lot of women. It was already very difficult to get an abortion in many states. Even if the fetus has died, you can't have it removed. Many physicians won't do it. It's pathetic. It's just interfering in the practice of medicine. It's disgusting. And I'd rather get someone qualified to be the head of the FDA. Dr. Oz. So he's a surgeon at Columbia University. As you know, he's a TV personality. He was made famous by Oprah, and then he has his own show. He's really a disgrace to medicine. Why? He hawks natural extracts for everything from weight loss to cancer. And he's on record saying, I could sell this stuff for cancer every day. And there's no evidence that any of it works. He's a disgrace because he does that and doesn't talk good science. He says, well, I think everything should be out there. Well, no, not if it's not proven to do any good. That's how healthcare works in this country. That's how it's supposed to work. Get this one. Early in the pandemic, he pushed hydroxychloroquine. He actually purchased thousands of doses with his own money. I guess he was going to sell it and make a lot of money. Of course, if it failed, it never was going to work. It was never given a proper clinical trial. And it actually harmed a lot of people. Wonder what he did with those doses. And finally, as you know, there's a big push to privatize Medicare. In other words, to have private companies carry out the Medicare health care for people who have it. He owns many, many millions of dollars in stock in these Medicare companies. So this privatization will make corporations very wealthy and will make him wealthy as well. I mean, he's so smarmy. Head of Medicare, Medicaid services. Oh my gosh, this is just terrible. It's like throw so much mud that you can't stop it all. All right, and finally, Jeanette Neshiwat. I don't know much about her, but she is a MD. She's a Fox News medical commentator. She's medical director of CityMD. This is a network of urgent care centers in New York and New Jersey. I've gone to them. They're very useful. She's the medical director of those, and that's fine. But and also in her favor, she does support some vaccines that RFK Jr. has doubts about. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Unfortunately, she believes COVID vaccine risks outweigh the benefits for young people, although she admits that the risks are very low. So how could they outweigh the benefits then? That's the myocarditis, right? The risk of having myocarditis from infection is much greater than from the vaccine. That's what a risk-benefit calculation is, Dr. Neshiwat. But most troubling, she promotes dietary supplements that she formulates. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't touch anything that any one person formulated. So obviously she's going to make some money on this as well. So all of this, all these people have things in common. They're contrary, and they sell things that they profit from. I think it's really disgusting. Anyway, those are the problematic nominees, the science and healthcare. And for RFK Jr., right, go to this website and you can write a letter there to oppose RFK Jr. They only have one for RFK Jr. I might ask them to do one for each of the others. That would be useful, because you could make an argument for not confirming any of them. The problem is that if you don't confirm one, you're going to have another lousy one, although RFK is the worst, okay? So let's do some questions here. This is extremely troubling to me because I was brought up and trained as a scientist where you deal with the facts. There are no alternative facts. You see what the data say, and you go with that. Let's see what people have to say here. Okay, where do we stop? Let's see. I'm going to the end of where. Okay. Mitch sent a donation. I believe so, by mail, right? I will check. I'll check tomorrow. What do I think about the United Healthcare executive shot down? I don't know what to think. It's terrible. Don't kill people, because it happens in many other countries all the time. But it would be interesting to know if we can find out the reason. Why is the lab leak theory still around when all the evidence says different? People like conspiracy theories. First of all, there's a anti-China sentiment, I believe, right? Fostered by Trump in his last administration. And people don't understand the evidence. And when scientists criticize the evidence, when there's nothing wrong with the evidence for animal market origin, they say, oh, it must be wrong. So let's see what else. And then lots of people are pushing, lots of quasi-prominent people are pushing lab leaks. So I think people like a conspiracy theory. And our voices, the natural origin, are not loud enough. Yeah. Tom writes, Disco Phage is very cool. Also, a cool article in Nature. But phage tRNA invasion of bacterial immunity. Well, that's cool. We have Jolene on Twiv Friday. Maybe she'll pick it. Nature article. Sick animals suggest COVID pandemic started in Wuhan. Huh. Yeah, well, we have data already, but that should be interesting. It adds to the data, right? That's good. Jill says, I saw a somewhat hopeful headline in the Times today that the CEO of Lilly will fight against RFK's nomination. Maybe drug makers and CEOs will have a little more pull than us mere mortals. One hopes, right? They're in it for the money. Excuse me, but if they can prevent him, that would be great. Spamlet writes, as a child, the biggest impression was made by a set of doors that opened when one walked up to them. Now you have programmable light-up disco viruses. Yeah. I have to make a disco polio, Mark. I know you like phages, but I need a disco polio. Okay? Yeah. Maybe we could work on it together. Dr. Oz seems to be in favor of privatized Medicare, which is not as good of a deal for participants. Yeah, well, it's not just him, but the whole conservative Republicans want to privatize everything, right? And, they're so slimy. They break the Postal Service and say, look, the government can't handle the U.S. Postal Service, so we're going to privatize it. They put in a guy to direct the U.S. Postal Service who's wrecking it from within. This is the most slimy, disgusting behavior ever. And I know lots of people engage in slimy, disgusting behavior, but I don't like it. It shows a lack of imagination. But that's what they're going to do with Medicare. They say, yeah, it's too expensive. We want to cut costs, and privatizing will do it. And you're right. Participants are going to have less choices, and Oz will get rich. All these guys will get rich. Ay, ay, ay. H. Zoo, thank you so much for your support of science communication and Microbe TV. I wish we could get our word to more people. That's the thing, right? It's hard to do. All the nominees are pandemic nominees. Yeah. Yep, they are. They rose to prominence by being contrary, with no basis in science for their contrariness. That's the thing. That's what Trump likes. Contrary just for the hell of it. Pete says, you may have covered in a previous week. Any thoughts on David Baker Nobel Prize for protein folding? I think this is tremendous. I think protein folding is the next big thing in science. One of these techniques that push things forward. It's really revolutionary, and I think this is completely well-deserved. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Patricia calls him Marty Malarkey. Not nice, and he's okay compared to a couple of others. What is a health economist? Someone who looks at the cost of healthcare and how to manage it. Basically, different aspects of the healthcare system, different costs. It's a big deal, right? Because it's economically huge. So, how much do certain surgeries cost, and what can we do to control it? National Institute of Health is based in Bethesda. It's hard to get it out. Yeah, but Medicare services, you could see, there's just offices, right? You could get them out. Same thing with FDA. You really don't want to move that out. CDC is already out, right? But yeah, you can't move NIH out. So Lise writes, Dr. Gottlieb, Trump's former head of FDA, has concerns about RFK Jr. I think if RFK follows through on his intention, it will cost lives in this country, per Gottlieb. Yeah, it will. RFK Jr. Doesn't know what he's talking about. And what's sad is that there's some committee, a bunch of people that are vetting nominees, and all they see is that he's prominent and has contrary views. They don't care that people could die. And, nobody's going to be responsible for it. Daryl, have you seen the Reuters article detailing how the CIA paid General Dynamics $350 million to falsify anecdotal evidence with bots and started vaccine rumors and mask effectiveness? I didn't see this. I dislike this sort of thing. I don't know why the CIA would do this. There's always some implication of foreign entities in hacking, right? Because you could do a lot of things by computer. You're using social media. You can start things going and it's coming from some other country. I think it's a real problem. So Adaro says rumors and had to apologize for it and admit to being contracted to do so. And yes, General Dynamics. I don't know about that. I have to look it up and read about it. Prevents throat cancer, especially. Yes, so anogenital cancers and throat cancers, right? Hans asks if a person with a persistent flu infection and using a live attenuated booster could increase their viral load. Well, yeah, because the vaccine is going to be reproducing, right? But if you're sick, you shouldn't get any vaccines until you've recovered in general, right? So if you have this persistent infection, you should cure it with antivirals, not with a vaccine, right? But it will marginally increase the viral load, yes. That was going to help with this effort on the Discord server. That's great. And we have a Discord server for Microbe TV. You can go over there and tell people to write their senators. Michael writes, unfortunately, this country will have to learn the hard way the value of vaccines again. Yes, Paul Offit always says this. We're going to have outbreaks of infectious diseases and people are going to die. So what's the first one? Measles, which is already rising. I think polio will be next because poliovirus is already in the country. And the only reason we don't have poliomyelitis is because vaccination rates are generally high. Influenza, hepatitis B. RFK Jr. thinks we shouldn't be vaccinating babies against Hep B. He's nuts. Of course you should. You get it from your mother. And if you get infected in the first 5 years of age, you're not going to clear it like adults do. And that's going to set up a lifelong infection and you're going to get liver cancer. So, yeah, you have to vaccinate babies. Ay, ay, ay. So Rima writes they should worry about smoking drugs that cause more problems. So apparently RFK, right, wants to focus on chronic diseases, going to solve the problem in the next 4 years. Good luck to that, okay? Nixon started a war on cancer in the 70s, and we didn't solve that yet. But yeah, the U.S. has a lot of chronic disease issues. There's no question about it. And people work on it, right? We have this fast food industry, which is not good for you. And this is part of the reason why we have an obesity epidemic. And go ahead, RFK, shut down McDonald's. See how well that goes, okay, with your Republican cronies. But you shouldn't eliminate research on infectious diseases to work on chronic diseases. That is dumb. That's what RFK Jr. wants to do. if you get Guillain-Barré from a vaccine and don't recover, you would question the benefit versus the risk. Right. Well, you have to ask, is the likelihood of getting Guillain-Barré from infection higher or less? Yes. Or if you don't get vaccinated, you're going to have other serious issues, right? This all has to go into the risk calculation. But these things are very rare, right? Currently, really, really rare to get GBS from a vaccine, but you can get it from natural infections as well. Yeah, the most common cause of GBS is viral infection. That's the benefit of vaccination. The idea is for the inmates to run the asylum. Artemis, do you know anything about the unknown disease that is causing flu-like symptoms in southwestern DRC? Seemingly killing dozens of people. It's spreading like mad. This is 2 days old. We should know what it is already. Take a nasopharyngeal wash and do some diagnostics. Now, I realize that in DRC, the facilities are not great, but ask for help, for God's sakes. Send it to some other country to get it done and know what it is. I don't know what it is. I have no idea. I can't find any useful information on it. If anyone has, put it up. John writes, another common trope they use is to claim aluminum adjuvants create lifelong allergies. Yeah, there's no evidence for this. They say whatever they want without any data. When people just lap it up. This is what kills me, that scientists have data to support their claims, and they're ignored. There's no data that aluminum is a problem. Allergies have other issues, have other origins. Anyway, if you want to know what GBS is, a rare condition in which a person's immune system attacks the peripheral nerves. FDA did approve hydroxychloroquine for emergency use. Yes, Trump made the FDA director approve it. There were no human data, no clinical trials. It was a travesty because the FDA director could not stand up to Trump. It's the most disgusting event in the history of the FDA. And it didn't help anyone, and it just killed people. Some people had very bad side effects. By the way, that same director was called into the Oval Office near the end of 2020, and Trump said, I want you to approve the vaccines before the election, because he wanted to get elected on the basis of their success. And now the FDA director said, no, we're waiting for the safety results, which aren't going to come till December. And he went up to him and screamed in his face. Good for him. And maybe he learned a lesson from hydroxychloroquine. And they were not released until after the election. And, of course, they were shown to be very effective and safe. So the head of the FDA is very important. That was a terrible, terrible error in the FDA, the approval of hydroxychloroquine without human tests. Okay. Dagfin points out GBS is exceedingly rare. Having a viral infection is an enormous risk compared to vaccines, but the risk is very, very small to begin with. Nevin says, snake oil salespeople running U.S. Health. What could possibly go wrong? Right. Now you can use your Medicare dollars to buy snake oil. Great. From Dr. Oz. Angry Penguin writes, in Canada, our current Minister of Health is a career politician with no medical expertise, hoping the Conservatives are voted in next election. Their health critic is an actual medical doctor. Yeah, I think these individuals need to have medical and scientific backgrounds to run all of these agencies. And you may say, oh, well, in the past, that hasn't been the case. Well, it's the way I think it should be. It should have been in the past, and it should be now. Yep. Vipticomp from Taos. RFK, stay in your lane and keep your boss there too. Loved hearing Paul offered an NPR snippet concerning this subject. Thank you. John writes, I keep coming across the Red Queen hypothesis on the different pods here, and I think I understand, but do you have a virology example to demonstrate it? Okay, so you have a virus. So we're going to look at a long-term evolution of a virus and its host. So you have a virus that infects people, and there's a host protein that basically blocks virus infection. And so, because viruses mutate all the time, it's very easy for a change to occur that eliminates the ability of that host protein to neutralize infection. It doesn't have to be an antibody. It could be many other things. So an amino acid change in a viral protein now makes the host protein ineffective. And over time, the host protein changes to overcome the change, and then the virus changes back. So you go back and forth. So the Red Queen said to Alice, around here, you do all the running and still stay in the same place. And so the virus, the host, the virus, the host, the virus, the host, they change and they stay in the same place, right? Because nobody wins. That's why it's the Red Queen hypothesis. Alice, yes, that was such a cool story. Yeah, James makes good points. The risk is still there for GBS in vaccines. People should know the risk. And in fact, all of the safety information is available for anyone to look at. You can find it online. You can find it on the package insert. People don't bother to read it, okay? And this is what RFK Jr. is saying. We have to give people the information they need to make their decisions. They already have the information. They don't look at it. And I don't think you're going to make it any easier. But it's not hidden. It's always out there. And with the COVID vaccines, as soon as we saw myocarditis, as soon as we saw clotting, we did something. So I don't think I agree with you that people should know their risk, but the data is there for them to look at. I don't know what else you can do. Come to think of it, I sent an email opposing RFK Jr., but why not send one every day? Flood the zone. Yeah, flood it. Do you have the email? You would be, but Dagfin can find the emails of senators. Stagfin writes, in Norway, with 5 million inhabitants, we see approximately 50 cases of GBS a year. Most recover completely. Yeah, so famously, Albert Sabin had GBS, and he recovered completely. Thank you, Rima. I appreciate it. I don't know if I'm a treasure, but I do my best to get the truth across. Legotic is memorized by the blinking phage. Kind of cool. Let's try different colors. Like, I don't know how much difference it makes. Number 12. No, it doesn't blink. Maybe you can't. Maybe it's too far away. Okay. That's pretty flashy. That's more of an on-off, but it's only white. Let's try another button. That's the same as before. And it's blinking. All right, we'll leave that for now. Sorry about Logotic. I hope I'm not hurting you. Same for why there's still UFO theories. It's a great tool to scare people and sell products. This is absolutely true. Hello, 8440K. Where are you? The intellectual dark web loves the lab leak. Yeah, it does. It does. This is a good point. The nominees are the worst because the goal is to wreck the system and degrade trust in medicine, science, and government, right? And you privatize everything. And they declare martial law because the government doesn't work anymore, blah, 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 blah. Have you talked about the promising cow vaccine against tick disease? Have not. Give me some information that I can look up. Could the impending viral epidemics in the U.S. threaten the world with new variants? Any viral epidemic you have in mind, like avian influenza? Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to predict what's going to happen there, right? I just don't know. Gotta take my jacket off. Now it's too hot. Jeff says a denier friend uses, quote, sequencing of bivalent Moderna and Pfizer mRNA vaccines reveals nanogram to microgram quantities of expression vector double-stranded DNA per dose to imply mRNA vaccines are contaminated. The double-stranded DNA is used to make the mRNA. Very little of it remains. You can't get rid of it all. It's not an issue. It's not contaminated. It's part of the process. If it had fluoride in it, then it would be contaminated because it's not supposed to be there. But it's okay if it's there below a certain level. The FDA says it's okay. So your friend is just a denier and is not relying on the science for the claims. It's very typical, right? Anyway, it's if you look at the package insert, they say there can be certain amounts of DNA in this and other things as well. And it's really not an issue. No issue whatsoever. Over half of Medicare participants have already chosen Medicare Part C or Medicare Advantage, which is privatized, right? So we're talking about the other half. You're absolutely right about that. John writes, disco polio just got me thinking on a tangent about how bad an idea our high school mistletoe dance was. Could have just called it ID dance. It was in the middle of winter. Yeah, a lot of transmission, right? We're not thinking about that. Cheese, thank you for your support of science communication. Scientists need to mobilize against misinformation. How can we help support the war against anti-science? So you have to take what we tell you, the science that we teach you, and spread it to your friends and your contacts. Like tell them why RFK Jr. is such a disaster. Give them the information that we give you. You have to amplify our message because we're not reaching enough people directly, so we're going to depend on you to do it. Just tell everyone you can. Many people here say they do that. They learn from us and then they tell their friends about it. Sometimes it's a uphill battle, right? No, I know better than you. I watched a YouTube video. I know more than all the scientists in the world. It's hard. You need thick skin. But that's the thing. You learn from us and pass it on. But thank you for your support. Appreciate it. Because of masking and distancing, there's a strain of flu that is now extinct. Yeah, maybe vaccination as well had part to do with it. Hard to know, right? Sharon from Tasmania, welcome. Nice to see you. Imagine buying a Brita filter that adds fluoride to your water at the same time. Business opportunity. Well, it would have to be identified, and you would have to have one that doesn't add fluoride for people that don't want it, right? Yeah. Okay, Will has some comments on privatized healthcare. Despite the prominence of privatization in the U.S., public spending on healthcare is more than 2 times per individual than in the UK. Sure, UK healthcare has its problems. We have efficiency issues. I agree. Part of the issue is that we don't have any centralized medical records, right? It's all disjointed. That makes it more expensive as well, but that's not my expertise. And all I'm saying is that many people are opposed to privatized healthcare, Medicare services. Is there a site that recommends when a person should get vaccines at specific intervals and ages? Yeah, cdc.gov. You go look at the vaccine sites. They have all the vaccines and they have all the schedules for everyone. It's excellent. Questella writes, why is it impossible to get drinks in the country that aren't either a lot of sugar or aspartame? Why is there no middle? I think you can find low sugar or no sugar. I hate aspartame. I don't like the taste. Yeah, so I always, like if I buy iced tea, I always buy sugar-free, not aspartame, not aspartame, just no sugar, no additives at all. I can't take it. But the reason, Questella, is that the consumers rule. They want sugar or artificial sweetener, and so that's what they get. People like you are in the minimal are minimal numbers, so we don't count economically. Yeah. RFK Jr. promotes raw milk. Do you have an opinion on this? Yeah, it's first of all, people don't need milk, right? The cow industry was made up to sell milk, and you should pasteurize it to kill the bacteria and viruses and activate the viruses. It's dumb to drink raw milk. I know maybe some listeners like to drink raw milk. They find a farm that's careful, blah, blah, blah. What if one day they're not careful anymore and then you get a very bad infection? No, it's not worth the risk. Not clear that the benefits outweigh the risk for raw milk. Healthcare costs. Oh my gosh. Not my field. I have experienced healthcare over my years, and it is a bit horrifying, yes, but it's not my field. And Zagfin talks about aluminum. Aluminum binds to the carboxy terminal of albumin and is washed out. It does not accumulate in the body unless you're exposed to enormous amounts. Thank you. Yes, that's what the aluminum foil hats are for. Doreen, thank you for your support of science communication. Have you considered appearing on Midas Touch Network to discuss access to science-based information via independent media? Midas has a big audience, and they are to law and politics what you are to science ed. I'd go on most programs, but nobody asks me. It's okay. As on principle, I would do it. But not going to happen. Carrie wants to know what's the best way to donate to Microbe TV. You don't want to donate to me. I don't want any donations. You can go to microbe.tv/contribute. So there are a number of ways. The best way, where 100% of the money goes to us, is to write a check and mail it to us. Because if you use PayPal or Venmo or Patreon, those companies get a percent of it. So check. I think people still have checks. I do. I don't use them very much, but We get checks in the mail now and then, a couple a week during giving season. So that's the best way, Carrie. And the address is at microbe.tv/contribute. So we're a 501(c)(3). We have a public address out there. Jill, as for publicizing Microbe TV, I wish we could get the Microbe TV gang and Hank and John Green connected. That would be amazing. They have a huge following. John Green just wrote that tuberculosis book. Dennis just says, why is your lower third so big? Because people complain they can't see it. So I made it big. And now you're telling me to make it smaller. So I'm going to make it smaller. And people are going to complain. So right now, it is 48 point. Okay, I'm going to make it 36. And I guarantee you, Dennis, people are going to bitch in a few minutes. You can't win. I don't mind. Lise writes, you may have addressed this. How are the personal videos and audios going? So we have released two or three. We have, I think, 7 or 8, and we're going to release them a few each. So yesterday we released a bunch of videos, personal testimonials, as well as me talking about the nominees. And now the rest, we're going to spread them out over the next few days. But yeah, they'll all go up. They're a lot of fun. They're really good. We have one from a freshman in Shanghai. She says, I love TWIV. I love Microbe TV. And she goes on to say how she found it. It's just great. People get very excited. And Betty from Washington Heights says, I didn't even know I had an inner scientist until I started listening to TWIV. This is great. There's many more. They're all great. So I think they're going well. Yeah. So we're releasing them on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. I will get them on Facebook. Facebook I don't use Facebook personally, but we have a Microbe TV, which is a business account, which is connected to my personal account. So I have to log into my personal account to be able to post on Microbe TV. I learned that yesterday, so I'm going to try and post some of the videos there as well, because we have 40,000 followers there. It's a good audience. The data's there. The trouble with the truth is that it's stranger than fiction. We have to work harder to message the truth. That's right. The opposite of truth is really appealing to people, right? They love it. By the way, here is microbe.tv/contribute, okay? For people that want to donate. And a check is the greatest way because you get 100% of it. Artemis writes, Dr. Alzheimer would be turning in his grave. I heard that aluminum causes Alzheimer's. The element's abbreviation is the first 2 letters. Yeah, people are crazy. People don't want to work very hard to find out the right information. Leo had knee replacement surgery. Hurts like hell. Oh, I'm so sorry. Have I heard of any excuse? About what? Give me a clue. I'm encountering more vaccine regrets. Some friends I saw over the holiday that claimed stuff sounded like long COVID on the vaccine. I could not convince them. Yeah, so the vaccine can cause long COVID, but the frequency is much lower than long COVID caused by the vaccine. So you have to make your choice. So you can choose not to get vaccinated. It's not mandatory anymore, right? And if you get sick and you get long COVID, then you're in big trouble, right? Because long COVID can last a long time. You got to make that decision. You got to say, how many cases of long COVID do I get from infection versus vaccination? And it's always greater from infection. To me, this is a no-brainer. I got these vaccines right away. Even now, knowing they can cause long COVID at a low rate, I'm getting them. I'm not going to be worried about that because I know the infection is worse. So what's the issue? All right, let them get infected. It's their choice, right? It's fine. James wants to know why the vaccine manufacturers can't solve the epidemiology of the side effects. Well, they are working on it, right? For the adenovirus vectors that cause clots, they identified the mechanism and we're working on modifying the vector to prevent that. It just takes time. But for myocarditis, we're not quite sure what the story is. But believe me, people are working on it. But you can't. All right, so the key is, James, the incidence of myocarditis is higher from infection than vaccination. Myocarditis is completely resolvable, not fatal, it's treatable. So there's a higher chance you're going to get it from infection than vaccination. It's your choice. If you don't mind the symptoms, don't get vaccinated, take your chances. It's up to you. You don't have to take the vaccine. Okay, now Penelope, University of Missouri researchers are working to develop the first ever vaccine to protect cattle from tick-borne disease. Okay, I'll go look at it. I don't know what's in the vaccine, whether sometimes they put tick components in the vaccine, not just the pathogen. That's very interesting. So a video today where an ecologist was saying earthworms can reduce tick numbers by removing leaf litter, but leaf litter is essential for native salamanders. Yeah, you can't win. Just let nature fight it out, okay? Kang. Is the reason the host never develops tolerance to the endogenous retroviral antigens because ERV genes are not active during embryonic development and adults respond to activated ERV. It's a good question. You stumped me. So some ERV genes are active during embryonic development, right? And so if the proteins are made, it depends how long they're expressed, right? They may not be expressed long enough to develop tolerance. But as you know, that the paper we did on the last TWIV, we have germline encoded antibodies to a sugar that's present on the endogenous retrovirus envelope protein. So it's the reason the host never develops tolerance because ERVs are not active and the adults respond to activated ERV. I think they're not active long enough. So yes, they may they may be activated later in life, and when you do, you make an antibody response to them. That's correct. I have to look this up, Kang. I think this is a really good question. Let me write this down. ERVs. Okay, good question. Well, they're all good, but you stumped me. I'm not sure. Will started a weekly post on Facebook to communicate simple facts about vaccination together with references. I will put your feed in our Microbe TV feed. Just send it to me, Will. I know you sent me an email recently asking for advice, but send it to me, your Facebook, and I'll put it into our Microbe TV feed. Get more people seeing it. In an attempt to please everybody, can we develop mRNA vaccines that do not require an injection? I think it would be great to make non-injectable vaccines that do not require injection, because I think kids do not like injections, and I think their parents do not like to have their kids injected. And I think a lot of vaccine hesitancy on the part of parents is because of that. But we don't have anything that works as well. The polio vaccine is great because you drink it, but it reverts and it can do bad things. So we don't want to use that anymore. So that's an oral vaccine. The intranasal flu vaccine is an interesting idea that avoids a needle, but not everybody gets that. It has to be sprayed in your nose. Some people don't like that. Kids don't like it, right? And then there's the microneedle patch, which is a small patch about a centimeter square of just thin plastic with tiny, tiny, tiny needles in it. You can barely see them. They're saturated with the vaccine, and it's put on your skin with a Band-Aid. And you don't feel anything. And over a few days, the antigen is delivered to the epidermis, dermis, which is a really good place to put antigens. So that's been tested for several vaccines. It doesn't work for polio vaccine, unfortunately. There's this really low tech, right? You don't have to have a healthcare training to put it on. You put a Band-Aid on it. I don't know about COVID vaccines, the mRNA vaccines. I'm not sure they're amenable to that. I think a protein-based vaccine is amenable to that, but I could be wrong there. But it doesn't work for all vaccines, unfortunately. And so I totally agree with what you're saying. We're not there yet in terms of technology. It would be great if it was a cream that you rubbed on your skin, right? But it doesn't work that way. Scientists would do better gathering every Sunday at a particular lab of study to spread information and congregate. Well, scientists do congregate. They have meetings. They have, within their institutions, seminars, conferences, a lot. In fact, at Columbia, every day there are multiple talks by people. But it's not for this point to spread information and congregate, see what other people are doing and understanding it. I guess it spreads to a certain extent. But to get scientists to do this on a certain day over and over is very difficult if it doesn't benefit them. Seminars benefit them because they learn new things, right? But spreading information, most scientists will tell you it's important to do it, but then they don't do it. How about we start getting rid of the commercialization of pharma? Yeah, look, I know that for-profit motives are problematic, right? But you can't just destroy it overnight, right? You have a lot of companies that are making drugs that save people's lives, right? Whether you like it or not, and they're making a lot of money, they're saving people's lives. So we can't break that system. You can start, and people have tried to make nonprofit drug companies. It's very hard. There's not that many. So I know CEPI, Center for Epidemic Preparedness and Innovation. They raise money and they do phase 1 in clinical trials for vaccines that nobody wants to touch. So that's the other thing with commercial pharma. They don't want to touch anything that's not going to make money, right? So if there are only 10 cases a year of a disease, there's no way they're going to make a vaccine for that. So that's where a nonprofit can come into play. And then the vaccine is ready. If there's an outbreak, then you could do a phase 2 and a phase 3. And at that point, commercial pharma will be interested. I think it has to be a blend. I don't think we're going to get rid of commercial pharma, even though it's got a lot of issues. It has to be a blend of profit and nonprofit. LP Goog says, respectfully, RFK Jr. is a disaster, but legitimate science is seemingly ignoring COVID reinfections. Given there's no cure for long COVID, it's not prudent to ignore multiple infections. Well, we're not ignoring multiple infections. We know that they occur. Even if you're vaccinated, vaccines don't prevent infections. They prevent severe disease. They prevent you from going in the hospital. They prevent you from dying. They prevent severe disease. And that's what vaccines are meant to do. So, yeah, you can be infected many times. You won't get severe disease, but yes, you will get long COVID. There is no cure. People are working like crazy to try and find a cure, but it's multiple diseases, right? It's not one thing. So it's going to take time, just like many other diseases. And that's why RFK says, I'm going to cure chronic diseases in 4 years. No, good luck. I don't think you can do that. Buy a bag of hibiscus roselle flowers for a great fruity hot drink that you just pour hot water on. It is good for you. Ah, this sounds good. I have problems with acidity in certain drinks. A lot of teas are too acidic for me. I'll see if this is. So hibiscus roselle flowers. Where am I going to get this? Like, do I have to go to is a supermarket going to have it, or do I have to go to some specialty place, like a pharmacy? Let me know. I told you, because people say they can't see it. Now I made it smaller for you, Dennis. How are things out there in Nebraska? Haven't heard from you for a while. Money order. Yeah, you could say money order would be fine. Yeah, absolutely. Because they don't take anything out from us. Yeah. You could send a money order to Microbe TV. Thank you, Questella. That's a good idea. Greg says, if we stop pasteurizing milk, there's another business opportunity to sell pasteurizers to consumers. I don't think we're going to stop pasteurizing milk. The massive dairy farms are not going to want the potential liability associated with that. I mean, look, frickin' onions are responsible for outbreaks of E. coli disease at McDonald's. I mean, it's bacteria, folks, that's doing that. You need to pasteurize your milk. Eliza did write a check. 100% goes to science education. That's right. Tracy, are you on TikTok? Yeah, we are. What are we on TikTok? Let's see. It's Microbe TV. TikTok.com/@Microbe TV. I'm going to show it to you. Come on, browser, fire up. Okay, here we go. TikTok.com/@Microbe TV. Wow. What is this? This is not it. What is it? It's microbe.tv. That's why somebody else has Microbe TV. Why did you take Microbe TV? Not nice. Parasite. Okay, here, I'll show it to you. There it is. Microbe TV on TikTok. Here's my fundraising appeal. And then look at all this number here. What does this mean? Views? Cool. And then we make little extracts of the different podcasts, shorts, and we put them here. Yeah, TikTok is good. Here's Mark Martin. Hey, look, Jolene Ramsey. So we just short bits from each of the pods we put here. And yeah, we've been doing this for a while. I was told that this was necessary, so we do it. So yes, Tracy, TikTok.com/@Microbe.tv. Sure, you make it small in my comment. Oh, I'm sorry, but yeah. So the thing is, if someone says, I don't like it, should I reply or is it going to offend someone else? They were too big. They're like up to here, but that's what people wanted. Spamlet says the Mark Thompson show would be a good one for you to go on regularly. He's very keen on getting to the bottom of health misinformation. So you guys can write in. I got on Lex Fridman, right? You remember that second year of the pandemic because you guys wrote in and told him to have me, and he listened. Joe Palca, right? NPR science guy. One of you wrote him and said he should have me on. He said, "Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll talk to my producer." So if you have a show you want me to go on, write to them. And I'm happy to do it. Lori writes, news reports today that the next White House occupant has tapped 6 billionaires to his administration so far. Yep, not surprising. Those are the only good humans on earth, the billionaires, right? Chelsea, thank you so much for your support of science communication. Needed now more than ever. Chelsea, by the way, is the neighborhood of Manhattan where the incubator is located. I have always liked the name Chelsea, and our offices are there. Isn't that great? Heather is the electrician who has TWIV playing while I channel cables and mounting boxes into walls. That's great. I love it. Come fix the incubator. You're probably far away. I had the electricity at the incubator sucks. I have so few outlets in the walls. I plugged in a space heater the other day and it blew the circuit breaker. And it's ridiculous in my studio. Anyway, I'm glad you listen. And I hope you get most of it. It's hard, I know, especially while you're working. I don't know how you can do that. But I love it. Anyway, if you want to mail checks, make them out to Microbe TV Inc., 352 7th Ave, Suite 703, New York, New York, 10001. I'm guilty of reading comments ahead of time and not sharing them with you. Chelsea says, thanks for teaching us. We need AI to copy you to fight the disinformation. Yeah, they should. So, this is crazy. I don't know if you've heard of this, but one of my podcast co-hosts says to me, Vincent, did you know Google has an AI that will make a podcast from any paper? You just give them the PDF and they make a podcast for you. I said, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. My podcasts are human beings talking to each other and talking about science, and other things happen, and an AI is not going to do that. Not going to talk about the weather or stump grinding or anything like that. I think it's an interesting concept, and if you want a summary of a paper, you know what? If you want a summary of the paper, read the frickin' abstract. That's what it's for. What do you think AI is going to do for you? I think things that make your task easier are great, but there are already solutions there. Use them. They work really well. Here's a quote. Truth is expensive. Time, money, research, lies can be made up and dispersed in an instant. There you go. Truth is very expensive. That's a good point. I never thought of that you can make up stuff on the fly. You don't have to do any research. Yeah, it's really good. Wayne writes, for several years, I've been sending checks to PWB for the matching dollars. I think if you send it early in the campaign, so it runs November, December, January, I think November, December, it's fine. I think January maybe you want to send it directly to Microbe TV. Spamlet says, Facebook took ages to let me post a link to your appeal. Trouble is that most social media hides anything that takes people off their sites. Blue Sky apparently does not yet. It is unshitified, which reminds me, I have to join Blue Sky. I haven't yet. I joined Twitter in 2008 and have a lot of followers, and I don't go there anymore. But we do post all of our pods there because there are people who are going to see them, right? I used to engage quite often. I stopped because there's too many nasty comments. And I don't know if I would do it at Blue Sky or not, because I'm a lot more busier now than I was back then. But I'll try it. I think it's good. Bobby writes, how long do you think it will take before we have good data on Novavax and the possibility of better durability or improved memory B cells? It is being looked at, but it's going to, durability, you're talking about at least a year study. So I'm guessing next year sometime we'll find that out. Mm-hmm. Yes, they're being done for sure. For sure. The thing is that in the paper that we discussed on, I think it was Immune, showing that mRNA vaccines don't give you long-lived bone marrow memory B cells. They had a couple of people who had gotten Novavax and they had the same findings. So you can argue that it's not enough people, and I would agree. So we'll see when it's redone. Yeah. Heather, opinion, the work which teased out the mechanism for the rare clotting issues with the ad vectors was brilliant work. 2 episode covering it was fascinating. Yeah, that was very nice work. There's actually another paper on adenovirus and clotting that I'm going to do one of these days. But yes, based on that work, they could modify the vector so it does not cause clotting any longer. But that takes time, right? And it's a company decision whether we're going to invest in this or not. So it's not just about the science, right? John writes, in the wet labs, when you say broth, does that mean the same thing as what a layman thinks of as broth, or is it some scientifically made and obtained broth? So broth, to me, as a layperson, would mean like a soup, right? But a broth in the lab is basically a medium. Most commonly, it's a liquid to grow bacteria in. Like there's a common one called L broth. It's got mostly water, of course, and sources. They often have many amino acids and other things. And there are lots of different kinds of broth, but you grow your bacteria in them. You put them in flasks, you inoculate them with bacteria, you put them in an incubator that shakes them at 37 degrees C, and overnight the bacteria will grow throughout the broth. In the night, when you inoculate the broth, it's clear, and in the morning, it's completely cloudy. And then you can harvest your bacteria. But that's what broth is in the laboratory. Yeah. Lise, I love the red knitted DNA that I received as part of Microbe TV fundraiser. As an intermediate knitter, this person who knitted the hats is a pro. So, yes, the hats are very popular. $100 donation, you get a gift of a knitted hat by one of our listeners who asked to remain anonymous, but who sent these hats in earlier in the year. All different colors. And that person said, use them to raise money for Microbe TV, but don't mention me. They're very well done. That person is a good knitter. Yeah. So as of this moment, we have 2 left um, at the $100 price point, but we also have a scarf hat set, which will go for a little more. I shouldn't say go for because it's a gift for your donation. And once the hats are gone, I'll put that up. We also have a hepatitis B virus scarf, which I'll put up later as well. So you go to microwave.tv/contribute. You can see all these extra things that you can get. Do other things. You can, for $1,000 or more, you get a textbook autographed by all the authors. That's pretty cool. For, I think, I forgot the price. You can get a tour of the incubator. You can sit in on a recording. We can give you access and you can listen to us. There's another one where you take me to dinner. We go to dinner in New York City and you can talk. So we tried to make an interesting rewards, like not just mugs and totes, right? The hats are very cool. All right, here's the science question. How do you know that herbs weren't relics from long before they were passed down to humans? So an endogenous retrovirus is the remnant of an old retrovirus infection where the viral genetic information went into the germline, which means eggs or sperm. So they're passed on to the offspring. That's the definition of an herb. They're relics of old retrovirus infection, but it doesn't have to be Homo sapiens, right? It can be any of our ancestors who got it and pass it on to us. So many of them are hundreds of thousands of years old, obviously can't be Homo sapiens. And so that, yes, they were passed to us from relatives. We got some from Neanderthals, some from Denisovans, but more we got from ancestors older than us. And it could be very old, right? It could be a million years. So yes, those are relics from infections that happened before they were passed down to humans. That's absolutely right. When I go to the pharmacy for my vaccine, it rarely hurts. The only one that hurts me is the flu vaccine because it's freaking 1.5 mL. And the pressure of all that volume bugs me. It's concentrated, folks. All the other vaccines are much less. Come on. Wayne says the way shots are given to kids traditionally is traumatic. Recent studies have come up with ways to reduce the trauma. Oh my gosh, I still remember as a 5-year-old getting a vaccine in the doctor's office. This was so traumatic. They were so nasty. I went in under the guise of something else, and the 2 nurses, they grabbed me and held me with both arms, and the doctor, man, I'm screaming. It's the worst. Amazing that I turned out okay. Well, if you think I'm okay, it's horrible. Now this is the 50s, right? And I'm sure things have changed, but oh my gosh, yeah, it can be very traumatic, and that you have to make it less traumatic. Absolutely, yeah. Kids don't like having a needle put in them. It hurts. It's like a mosquito bite. I've heard a pediatrician say, "This is going to feel like a mosquito bite." Well, if kids may not know what a mosquito bite feels like, right? Anyway. Yeah, sometimes the needle hits a nerve, and that's painful. Yeah, that's what I always worry about, it hitting a nerve or a bone if they're really bad. Don't hit my bone. I wonder if the antigen vaccine patch is similar to the DBV's peanut patch to desensitize one to peanut allergies. Yeah. Well, it's same idea, right? There's antigen on the patch. Probably it's in small needle patch, and it delivers it to the dermis. Yeah, I'm guessing. I don't know, but I'm guessing. John writes, sidebar, I'm listening to Tweevo now, and I like how much Minnesota comes up. Makes me think of my friends that go to every Trampled by Turtles concerts here. Yeah, because Nels is from Minnesota. It reminds me, I have to put up the last 2 episodes, the audio. The video is up. I keep forgetting to put the audio up. I'm really bad. Let me make a note. No, better is if I put it on my calendar. Let's do that. What's today? Wednesday. Let's put it on. Let's put it on for Thursday. Publish Tweevos. Yeah, it's really bad that I didn't. Trampled by Turtles. It's very funny. I hadn't heard of them before Nels brought them in as the music. Why is the BCG tuberculosis vaccine not routinely recommended anymore? I don't know. I know that is the case, but I don't know. Maybe someone else here knows. Sorry. Patricia, as I've given hundreds of vaccines, most go okay. Convincing men to get them is more difficult than most any other group, including children. Men, such pansies, right? Oh my gosh. Kang writes, in 1171, how are the different populations of plasma cells selected? They have certain surface markers, right? So that's the natural antibody to retroviruses. What they did is they made a bait consisting of the envelope protein, the glycoprotein, and I can't remember the details, but they did flow cytometry looking for cells that would bind to it, essentially. And that's how they did it, yeah. You can get them from any Middle Eastern shop. Okay. I'm sure there's some around the incubator. Hibiscus drink is big in the Caribbean. We get big bags of it here. Okay. And it's delicious. Okay, I'm going to try it. If you want to send me some, I'd be happy to do that too. Tona, what percentage goes to you when using Patreon? I don't remember. It really depends on the plan. I don't know what that means. 5% seems to be the bottom line, but it can go higher depending on the plan. I don't know. I have to go over and check out Patreon now because Apple has made them change things. I often suspect the pharmacy is actually using a sub-Q needle. The ones we have at work used to be retractable, but not anymore. Retractable really helps. Spamlet, so I can get the hibiscus on Amazon. I could try that. That's easy for me. Okay. Patricia says, regarding sugar, it's not just what people want and demand, but there's a lot of money to be made and zero regulation. A lot of Euro countries regulate sugar and fructose, but of course not us. I'm somewhat happy that long COVID was legitimized as a past sufferer of chronic Lyme. Long Lyme treatments are finally less controversial for those seeking it. We have a lot to learn in some cases. I think long COVID has legitimized long other diseases as well. Can I start posting on Blue Sky? Yeah, I'm going to make an account and we'll start putting all the pods there, and maybe I'll make some quips now and then. Yes. I learned of Lex because you spoke of him. Most people, vice versa. Yes. Many people discovered us through my podcast on Lex. Yep. Conspiracy theories. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. Hello, G. It's okay. You can watch it again later. You're not on Blue Sky yet? Better get your name. Face blue, wide eyes. Yeah, I don't know what's available. We'll see. Hello, ZZVA303. Nice to have you here. It was the most interesting science thing you learned most recently? I think this observation that mRNA vaccines don't give you long-lived bone marrow memory B cells was really interesting. I thought that was very cool. And behind that, it was this week in neuroscience where neuroscience to me is a learning experience because I don't know any neuroscience. And the twin was all about memory. So the episode is 56. So we know that neurons, groups of neurons in the hippocampus, are important for memory. And this paper showed that astrocytes, which is a big other kind of cell in the CNS, are also important for maintaining memory, generating and maintaining memory. And they use really interesting assays. So how do you do a memory assay with a mouse, right? So basically, they'll put them in a cage with a funny smell that has a grid on the bottom, okay? And then if you put them, then you take them out and you let them recover. And then you put them in another cage with a grid but no smell. They feel the grid. They think they're going to get a bad smell, and they freeze. They don't move. So the freezing indicates that they remember. Anyway, that's cool stuff. A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its shoes. Attributed to Mark Twain. Heather says, I do wonder if for respiratory viruses, it's the T cells which do the major work, finding and shutting down the affected cells. Yeah, I do. I think that's true. If antibodies are present, they will help. But if there are no antibodies present or low levels, I think the T cells can handle it. There have been many papers that we have done showing in the absence of antibody, the T cells can control infection. It's not a problem. I love it. By the way, did you like my icon for Born Immunity? I made it myself. I make all the icons myself, except Mark Martin's. And it's not perfect, but I think it brings Born identity back, right? Okay. Let's see, 7 minutes. Good. We got plenty of time. And the need for antibody and B cells is less than illnesses like measles, which have a systemic phase. And polio, where the antibody is good for controlling it, right? This is so cool. My poor sweet 2-year-old was so brave. They made her wait and wait. So I told her about Jonas Salk, and she listened, helped her stay calm. Then she thought it didn't hurt much. That's great. Litsai, wonderful job. I love that. I love it. I love it. Would you consider doing an office hours where each of us can share our picks? Yeah, for sure. We can do that. I'd love to hear your picks, as long as people come up with them, right? And give people time to do it. Yep. Do we know the oldest protein that is still present in modern humans and showing the most conservation across time? Good question. I didn't know what it would be. Let's look it up. Yeah, I thought so. I was going to say it's probably a histone. It's one of the histone proteins that are wrapped around DNA. Dennis got his polio shot in 55 when everybody else did. Yeah, me too. There was a cute girl behind me and she was so scared, so I steeled myself and got the shot for her. That was very nice of you. Yeah, I guess it's 1 ml. I got the senior dose. I do think vaccine hesitancy is due to people not willing to admit they're scared of needles. Oh, there's a handy tool that imports all your tweets. Okay, I'll look into it. Took on clinical update about B and T cell memory. So B cells make antibodies, right? It's proteins that grab viruses and block them. And T cells actually kill infected cells. So two very distinct cell populations. And when you get an infection, you make B cells and T cells that are tailored to the pathogen. It takes a lot of work to do that. And so to avoid having to do it again next time you get infected, we make memory versions of those cells, B memory and T memory cells. Okay, so that's the short version. Here we go. Twiv-borne immunity was amazing. Yeah, that's very cool. We have antibodies encoded in us that will bind a sugar that's present on a lot of envelope viruses. Very cool. Abdur Rahman is working on neurodegenerative disorders right now, but we still have no idea what memory is physically. I thought they were engrams of neurons, right? Collections of neurons. So you're saying, well, it's what it is in the neuron that maintains memory. So I don't know. A chemical state, an electrical state? You tell me. He suggests that Ronald Jenkins put together a microbe TV CD. You know, he's very amenable. Whenever I write and say, can I use this song? I mean, I buy it. And he always says yes. And he says he hears from a lot of people who go to him by finding him through us. So he would probably do that. I'd have to pay him. All the theme songs from Twiv on a CD and more, right? Yeah, histone H4. That's it. The most conserved protein. Yep. Yep. And I will get this hibiscus roselle flower drink. Maybe Rima's going to send me some. The main difference between a cat and a lie is that a cat only has 9 lives. Did I hear a good joke lately? Yeah, I heard one. Here's one. Maybe I said it last time, but I'll say it again. It doesn't hurt. Did you know that dogs can't get an MRI, but cats can? I think that's pretty good. I didn't make it up. Surely you have to have ribosomes to make proteins. But ribosomes are made of proteins. Yeah. But actually the catalytic component is RNA, and the ribosome is made of RNA and protein. So you can you could actually make protein without the protein component. But yeah, ribosome makes ribosomal proteins that go to make new proteins. Yep. Do I ever get the opportunity to teach a brand new class at Columbia? If I wanted to, I could pitch it. I for a long time wanted to teach an advanced virology course, which would cover individual viruses, but I don't have the time to do that. Yeah. I could do it. I just have to submit a proposal, and it has to be approved by a committee, and maybe it's not approved, but I could do it. Yeah. All right, folks. Yep. But finally, Abdur says, no one knows. Lots of theories. An endosome at the end of the action potential, a certain priming of the membrane. What about recall? Where is it stored so we can recall it from? So Jason Shepard on Twin is into memory. So he does the paper. What do you call someone who tells dad jokes but isn't a dad? A faux pas. Ha! Ha! It's really good. But the dog joke. Dogs can't get an MRI, but cats can. Oh my God. You have to say it properly. Cats can. Okay, folks. Time to go. I want to thank all of our moderators. Vanity Nutrition. We had Tom. We had Steph. And we had Les. Thank you all for being here. I think it was a pretty calm night tonight. And by the way, I did, Dave, teach virology online 1 year during the pandemic. I just did it live streaming like here, and I taught it. It worked really well. Liked it a lot. Thank you all for coming. So hit the like button. We have 188 people, but only 140 likes. I would like you to hit the like button to try and attract more people to hear what we say. When are we going to be back? PET scan. Maybe the joke is dogs can't get an MRI, but cats can. When are we going to be back? Let me check the calendar here. No. So we have, I don't have it on my calendar here. I don't remember. Microbe TV. Let's go to the calendar section. Come on, load up. Next week is going to be the 11th, right? Looks like we don't have a thing next week. Okay. Next one is December 18th. But listen, why don't you plan to bring your picks of the week to the next office hours, which is December, did I say just 18th? Yes, Wednesday the 18th. Bring a pick, and you can talk about it. You can get, multiple 140 characters or whatever YouTube limits you to. And we'll do that for the 18th, okay? Thanks, everybody, for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. Pass it on to someone else, whatever you learned that you think is interesting. Most importantly, these bad science and healthcare nominees. Really, I'm very disappointed. So nothing next week. Nope. But we're going to have every other week till the end of the year. The next year, we will resume weekly. Just to, because it gets kind of busy at the end of the year here. All right, folks. I really appreciate your being here. I love interacting with you. I hope you like it too. And so, until next time, be safe. Bye-bye.